Hi, AJ Hartley here, novelist, Shakespeare professor, fan of good TV. I just finished watching the second season of the Netflix political drama, The Diplomat, starring Keri Russell as Kate Weiler, newly appointed US ambassador to Great Britain. And I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to talk about it.
Ambassador Catherine Weiler, Prime Minister Nicol Trowbridge.
Welcome.
Sir, it's an honor to meet you.
Honor to be met.
It's a great example of what good TV can do using the series format to build character and extended plots in rich and unexpected ways.
Someone is luring a strike force into the Persian Gulf.
The president is sending you to stop a war before it starts.
The first season centers on an attack on a UK aircraft carrier, an act which threatens to destabilize the region, as the British Prime Minister, played as clever, capricious and self-serving by the brilliant Rory Kinnear, promises to rain down hellfire on whoever was responsible.
Our agenda now reads 1. Russia. 2. Russia. 3. Julian?
Russia?
Russia!
The story that follows is part slick statecraft in the tradition of The West Wing, part mystery and part thriller. The plot twisting boldly, if at times somewhat implausibly. I had no problem with those dramatic escalations, and I think that those critics who have opined the show's failure to be a more realistic depiction of international diplomacy have misread, probably willfully, dramatic entertainment as documentary.
It's not Iran. We should be looking at Russia and Saudi Arabia.
I found the twists in the core mystery, who is really responsible for the attack on the warship, and what can be done about it without risking more damaging fallout, compelling. Not least because they raise the stakes and intrigue levels of what could easily have slid into something talky and abstract.
He is way over the line.
If the house is on fire, you gotta tell me.
The house is on fire.
I'm supposed to run this place. Thanks to your intervention, I look like a f***ing psychotic! I would like to speak to the Secretary of State, please.
The show is consistently well acted across the board. Though Russell is the star, she manages not to outshine the rest of the cast, partly by being consistently disheveled and scrappy, particularly when juxtaposed with the cool elegance of the radiant Allison Janney, who appears in season 2 as the US Vice President.
I hear you want to be vice president.
If you have any advice, I'd love to hear it.
You probably think your hair says you're too busy serving your country to get a blowout. But it reads as bedhead, which sends a signal I think in this case is better unsent.
Early on, her relentless earnestness felt a tad overplayed to me, but that begins to feel like a character note rather than an actorly deficiency. When Russell as Wiley settles into the formal constraints of her role in the UK, where, unlike in her previous postings in the Middle East, she has to be more swan than workhorse or attack dog.
Welcome to London, Ambassador Weiler.
Call me Hal. I'm the ambassador's wife.
My husband was an ambassador for a long time. This will be an adjustment.
You need to lean into the Cinderella thing.
I'm not doing this the way you would.
That's fine, just don't do it wrong. Not great.
Like The West Wing, much of the show is held together by the relationships between the core team, particularly with her charismatic maverick of a husband, played with charm and alarming unpredictability by Rufus Sewell, whose American accent, incidentally, is on point. He's a wild card throughout, always poised to upend the delicate balance of the situation because he has also been an ambassador and assumes he knows how best to go about things, which usually means like a bull at a gate.
Intelligence is the best tool we have to de-escalate a situation that is spinning out of control.
Here to help.
You don't work for the US government.
This is new to me. Both of you at the same time. I could use less of it.
Their fraught marriage, always on the point of total collapse, anchors the show and lets us see the backstage of the big public scenes, humanizing and problematizing in little hinting at why the major players act as they do when they are under the lights.
If everybody hates you, Hal, it all stops.
You hate me, still sitting on your bed.
Their staff, in addition to handling the new ambassadors and trying to get them ready for prime time, have lives and relationships of their own, particularly the embassy's deputy chief and the CIA station head, played respectively and superbly by Atto Essendo and Ali An.
This just keeps getting better.
As well as keeping the ambassador on track, they've been tasked with vetting her for the role of vice president, pending the expected resignation of the current VP. So rather than being merely underlings, they are power brokers in their own right.
Mr. Weiler's here. Does he know Meg Weiler?
Is that a problem?
She's a Tory operative. She built the strategy behind Trowbridge's campaign.
Add to this the brooding and thoughtfully elegant presence of David Gyasi as the British Foreign Secretary, and you have the core of a true and gifted ensemble.
It hasn't escaped me that you are an incredibly attractive man.
I feel it too. I can't think when you're in the same room. I can barely breathe.
The excellent character work also allows the show to find occasional but genuine tenderness, particularly in the second season, when tragedy is allowed to resonate in ways giving dignity and purpose even to minor figures.
Merritt!
The show's sense of palace intrigue is heightened by the grand and ancient residences which form the backdrop to so many scenes. Panelled ballrooms, their walls hung with old masters, ornate gilt and marble, sumptuous formal banquets, all raising not just the show's eye-candy appeal, but its underscoring of both the historical rootedness of statecraft and its essential separateness from ordinary life. Kate is initially frustrated by her disconnection from the gritty realities of life in the Middle East, but we don't see the gritty realities of life in England either, which is surely part of the point. These people are insulated from the world they are running, and their only encounter with ordinary people is at photo ops and news conferences where they are kept at a safe distance. While The West Wing was somewhat naive in its projection of moral surety, The Diplomat is touched with a world-weary pragmatism, which sometimes rises to the level of profound and cynical disappointment with the way that self-interest, personal and national, derails the attempt to do good.
This is my game board, the whole goddamn thing. This is yours. Keep your eyes on your own paper.
In this respect, though the show never attempts to make direct connections to current events, it suggests a deep ambivalence to the state of the world and a continual warning about the fragility of the institutions and the peace which we hold dear. I can't help wondering if the critics who found some of the story implausible when it first aired would feel the same now, given what has been going on in the last couple of months. As I say, the show doesn't seem to represent known political figures, but there is something of Boris Johnson in the clever, erudite, but erratic and childish British PM.
If this was Tehran, I will rain hellfire upon them.
While the US president, a comparatively minor figure in the show, is enacted by Michael McKean, who played a Trump-esque beauty pageant and reality show mogul on Castle. While The Diplomat doesn't point fingers, it does simmer with a persistent anxiety about how quickly and easily things can fall apart with globally catastrophic results if not carefully handled. Watching it as our government is arbitrarily dismantled, as the current administration thumbs its nose at our traditional allies while cozying up to Russian dictators and yanking funding for programs which other nations have relied on for decades, is frankly alarming. It's a thoughtful, even fun show, but in the context of where we are right now, it's also pretty scary and serves to remind us of what might unravel if we don't put the grown-ups in charge. A season 3 has been confirmed, and recently it was announced that the role of Alison Janney's husband will be played by Bradley Whitford, so we get another West Wing alum joining the cast. That's all I'm going to say. As ever, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my books, check out my Patreon page. Thank you as ever to all my patrons who make this channel possible. Check out my Dashery store for t-shirts and other merchandise, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.